such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This. Before we actually get into our information about our websites, let us play what has become our, what shall we say, our theme song. Just a little bit of it, not a lot. Here we go.
If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. So just as I say, we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. We aren't going to let any injunction turn us around.
Gotta pick a side, man, it's do or die. Trying to stay up in the middle, man, that's suicide. Be hot or be cold, what's it gonna be? More people loyalty is all I wanna see. If you ain't saying nothing, then you saying something. What you see is what you get, man, I ain't never frontin'. I say your problem, I'm lazy, cause I ain't never running. Opposition passing it off, cause they ain't never won it. Come on, time to say goodbye, it is you and I.
When you compromise, it will multiply.
We ain't never scared to put it on the line.
It's time to pick a side, it's do or die.
Time to pick a side, homie, do or die.
When you compromise, it will multiply.
We ain't never scared to put it on the line.
It's time to pick a side, it's do or die. No mess, no back for me, both middle fingers up.
All right, there we go. We had some technical difficulties. We had it private, but now it is public. And so you got to just touch it. There we go. And take the thing off of it. We had some technical difficulties. We're over it now. My question, please give us a thumbs up that we're coming through loud and clear. I think we have the technical difficulties past us. We are now public. And we are talking about where all conspiracy theorists now, round table discussion. We are all conspiracy theorists now. I bet you're wondering what that means. I bet you are. And Abigail Ruth is going to educate us on what this is. Before we go any further, as always, like to encourage you to go to our webpage for such a time as this .today, for such a time as this .today, not .com, not .org, .today, for such a time as this .today. There you can always find our newest material. And as we come out of high school football season, we'll start producing more videos. Now that I no longer have to go to practice during the day. So please go here. We're going to up our content. It's coming out, but you can always go to for such a time as this .today. So even if Big Brother takes us down and starts to censor, you can always go to this. Matter of fact, we'd rather you go to this webpage. It boosts our standing on Google search, and it will actually help us traffic-wise and otherwise. Also, we are also starting to grow on Rumble. Rumble's a little more freer than YouTube, but go to our webpage. You can always get our stuff right there. Webpage for such a time as this .today. Okay. Woo. We are all conspiracy theorists. Now, St. Abby, take it away.
Okay, guys. Well, I actually got the title from James Corbett at the Corbett Report. Now, I don't really know anything about him, so if anybody out there wants to chime in with what they know, it was he and I can't think of her name right now. Whitney Webb. I was researching the Great Reset, and I came upon a video talking about transhumanism, which I had tried actually to research a few weeks ago, and I was having trouble putting my finger on it. But this is James Corbett and Whitney Webb are like the mother lode when it comes to transhumanism. And maybe a lot of you are wondering, like I was, what is transhumanism?
Yes, like
yes,
I am.
indeed.
Correct. Please explain.
Okay. So, and honestly, I really had a hard time even finding a when I was looking into it a few weeks ago, finding a definition. So I'll give you one now. Transhumanism is the word for merging biological organisms with digital technology. They have a new word for this now because, they're always inventing new words. The people who are, the movers and shakers who are pushing this, and they're calling it biodigital convergence.
Fancy.
So, but that's actually a little more descriptive, I think.
Kim says he's good and she's good. So
okay.
Kim must be she must be aware of what's going on there. But go back to the definition.
Yes, sir.
Merging biology and
digital technology.
Like Tron? Remember that,
It's
Tron?
been so long since I saw Tron, Pastor James.
What's
I
about
really
Terminator?
can't comment. Yeah, that kind of a thing. Like a benign example that we've had for decades are pacemakers.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. And the interesting thing about this is so much of this would be so terrific. It could help so many people if only it weren't in the hands of sinful men and going to be corrupted. And so this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, I've only been looking at it for a few days, so probably some of our listeners out there, you will know more about this than I do.
Well, we should be happy that Biden is president. Good man.
Oh, my goodness. Of all the times to be developing this technology, oh, boy, this is just a convergence of all things, isn't it? Which tells you who the architect is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just as a little bit of background, the World Economic Forum is really big into this. This is one of the pillars of what they call the Great Reset, and it's yes, sir. Oh, yes. So we're going to pull up a slide. The founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum is Professor Klaus Schwab. He wrote The Great COVID Reset, in fact, a book. If you would like to go out there and buy it, and you won't sleep at night, but hey, it's out there. So the interesting thing, too, is this is all out there in broad daylight, but of course it's painted in utopian terms. Mm-hmm. So if you look at what it says, this is actually the website.
And what's the website? The
website of this one is for the Great Reset, right? It's at the top of this. I'm looking. Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. It's the World. This is the World Economic Forum website.
The World Economic Forum actually is promoting the Great Reset.
Right, and the Great Reset
Wonderful.
is basically that's just a brand name for their plan to revolutionize the entire planet. So
One world order.
Yes. There's just too much
Can we say this
disorder.
on YouTube?
So far, I think we can.
Okay, all right.
There might come a point where we'll see what happens to this video, but
Okay.
so if you look right here on their homepage, what does it say? It says the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. And what they mean by that is
Wonderful.
not going back to normal. No, absolutely not.
The
And I
new
think
normal.
after 20 months of this now, we see that none of our great leaders want to go back to normal.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, don't let a crisis go to waste.
There
right?
was a
Yep.
small little YouTube channel in April of 2020 said whatever power you give the government, they'll never give it back.
Yep.
Oh, so true.
Tyrants never give power you give them. They never give it back from the very beginning. The small little YouTube channel for such a time as this said that. They'll never give the power back. Ever.
Ever.
Yeah, you have proven to be a prophet,
Yes.
Pastor James.
I'll take that title. No, I
I'm
won't.
sad
No,
to
I
say
won't.
that,
No, I
but
won't.
yes.
On that issue,
Yes,
yes.
on
Look
that
at history.
issue.
Mankind. Tyrants don't give power back once you give it to them.
Who knew we had so many, though, and at every level?
Right. That's what's been surprising.
We knew,
Yes.
though. But we knew.
But I wouldn't
could
have thought
see
all
it.
these
You could
heads of
see it.
industry would have just caved to this I don't even know what they're caving
Abby,
to.
I don't think they're caving. They're part of the train.
You really think that they are?
Yes.
They want this. They know what this is. They want it, or they're just going along to get along.
I think it's mostly going along to get along so they can keep their businesses going and not impact the bottom line.
Maybe the airlines, but the tech companies, they're driving
Oh,
this.
the tech, yes, tech, absolutely. You are right,
Yeah,
because
the pharmaceuticals, they're driving this.
they are a major
Yes.
part of this.
Yes.
So anyway, one part of the Great Reset is what Klaus Schwab calls in his book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. And if you'll pull up slide number 2, Pastor James, here's how he defines it. The Fourth Industrial Revolution represents a fundamental change in the way we live, work, and relate to one another. These advances are merging the physical, digital, and biological worlds. Okay, so we'd be tempted to think that these are just a bunch of kooks or mad scientists toiling away in totalitarian dictatorships and trying to please their dear leaders. But this is happening in universities all over the world.
They're not kooks.
No, they are not kooks.
No, I'd say the Biden administration, they're not what do you call a word? Incapable,
Incompetent.
incompetent. They're not incompetent. They're very competent. They were doing exactly what they set out to do.
I will say though, at least James Corbett believes that there are actually several factions at this point that are vying to get their particular dream for the future enacted. So I don't think necessarily that all these people are on the same page. They're all doing rotten, evil things.
I didn't say they're in lockstep on the same page, but they are all pulling in the same direction.
Yes.
I.e. to remake the world in their totalitarian image.
Yes, but we're going to, what is it? No one will own anything and we're all going to love it? That's a bad paraphrase.
That ain't me. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to, if you'll pull up slide number 9, this is actually, like I said, this is not a bunch of kooks. This is a department of the Canadian government. They've written a paper, and it's their job to advance biodigital convergence. So if you look at the first, pull up the next one, slide number 10. I just wanted to show you, this is from the Canadian government. Look at the first thing on that list. It says, change human beings, our bodies, minds, and behaviors.
Oh, wow. Like the transgenderism wasn't enough.
Right.
Really?
Oh, that's nothing compared to, I think, where they want to go with this. So they're right out there with this. They really think they are going to build a better human being. And haven't we seen this before? This is a rerun.
To bring the theological perspective into this, do people understand? I wonder if people really understand why the historical account of Sodom and Gomorrah is in the scriptures. When you have the enemy pushing homosexuality and now transgenderism, what you are doing is you are marring the image of God. When a man lies with another man, that he's twisting God's creation, that the two shall become one flesh, male and female. Our bodies were designed to do that. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, our bodies were designed to do that. Well, when you have homosexuality taking place, you're actually twisting and marring the image of God. There's no longer the two becoming one. It's a perversion. That's why Sodom and Gomorrah is in there. That is why homosexuality is treated the way it is in the Old Testament, so vehemently judged. That's why transgenderism will not escape the wrath of God. And so now they're taking it to another level. Not only are they marring the image of God through sexual acts, they're literally trying to change the image of God through surgeries and digital, what do you want to call it?
Enhancement?
Which
is what they would call it.
They call it digital enhancement. But what I saw, what's coming up, they're changing humanity as God created it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is in the same vein as the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah, and it will reap the same judgment. But go ahead.
So real quickly, I just wanted to show everybody a couple of things because they have progressed really far since we were all sleeping for the last 10 years or so. If you pull up slide number 3, James, so we're not going to ponder a long time on these, but this is lab-grown meat. In other words,
what does that mean?
That means
Don't
they're
tell me
growing, it's called clean meat. It's not in your grocery store yet, but
meat.
they have been able to grow muscle tissue in a lab. Okay?
Isn't this what Bill Gates wants us all to be eating in America, that we should stop eating real meat?
Well, it is real meat, but it is lab grown. But
Okay.
yes, they do want to. They have a war against cows now, right? Because cows use up too much resources.
The Impossible Burger. That's what you're talking about. The
No, that's
meat.
I believe that's vegetable.
Okay.
This is real muscle tissue, but it was grown in the lab and not on a cow. Okay.
Ooh.
So
Wait a minute.
yes,
Wait
so
a minute.
I knew you were going to have a problem with this. Here I am trying to move us along.
The USDA awarded $10 million to Tufts University to establish the National Institute for Cellular Agriculture.
Yeah.
Is the USDA involved in this, and is this a real thing that they're trying to mass produce? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they're trying to produce it. I don't know about mass producing it at this point. It seems like it would require so many resources that you might as well just stick with cows. But
Oh my.
But yes, they've done it.
Okay.
I've seen the pictures in petri dishes.
Okay.
Okay. Here's something that seems a little more positive. Lab-grown organs, if you pull up the video. And it's just a short video, and they're going to explain it. And it's actually quite amazing.
All right.
Scientists at the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston have officially created a functioning rat kidney. The new kidneys aren't entirely built from scratch. Scientists stripped down donor kidneys of their cells, creating a scaffold, and they added new cells that grew new tissue on those scaffolds. Lead scientist Harold Ott describes his team's aha moment when the tissue started working.
These kidneys started to make a rudimentary urine. In the last step of this experiment, as the ultimate proof of principle, we were then able to take these kidneys from culture and transplant them in an animal model.
And the kidney continued to work once inside the rat. This breakthrough discovery is so exciting because New Scientist writes it may lead the way for human organs, potentially providing an inexhaustible supply of organs, eliminating the need for recipients to wait for a matching donor kidney, which would solve an ever-growing problem in the United States. The scientists involved in the discovery say 18,000 people get a kidney transplant every year, but 100,000 remain on the waiting list. Dr. Ott did mention the created kidneys aren't ideal or complete yet because they don't function as well as natural ones. One reason why might be because of the immaturity of the kidney cells used. In order to scale the technique to use for humans, Dr. Ott says he'll use pig kidneys that are similar size to humans. As for Ott's next step, he says we're now investigating methods of deriving the necessary cell types from patient-derived cells and refining the cell seeding and organ culture methods to handle human-sized organs. The study was published Sunday in the journal Nature Medicine. For Newsy, I'm Candace Avilés.
I don't know how I feel about that, St. Abby. You said this is positive, good news?
It seems like it, right?
Well, if
All the people waiting on the organ transplant list, if we could help them out. I mean,
if I had a loved one on the organ transplant list, yes, I would be very excited about this. However, I am certain that there's another side of this.
This is the technology that's going to lead to people saying, I'm now going to live forever. My heart will not give out. My lungs will not give out. My liver, my kidney will not give out.
See, I haven't even thought of that angle yet. See, I knew there was another side.
Right, there's always another side. But like both my kids have eye diseases. And one time years ago, we don't know what gene causes it because there's a lot of them. But we've been going to this doctor. Anyway, long story short, they took a little chunk out of each of their arms a number of years ago so they could grow a retina from their skin cells in their lab at the University of Iowa. Yeah.
Were they able to do that, or was that for the future?
That was to grow. It was just to do testing, like to grow a retina, to do testing on it. I honestly don't know whatever came of it. They're still trying to figure out what's wrong with them.
Wow.
But yeah, it was interesting at the time. I mean, that was, again, using technology for good. But
that's amazing.
But sooner or later, like everything they do, the basis of growing all these organs will be what? Fetal tissue.
Yes, and they experiment on embryos
Yeah.
constantly, which I think we will get to at some point here.
Yeah.
Yes, and don't think anything of it.
Nope.
In fact, actually, it's the next thing I was going to talk about, which is gene editing.
Mm-hmm.
They're already doing it. It's not going as well as planned because they are not able to be as precise as they need to be. It sounds like, from what I'm reading, that they're trying to cut out the bad mutation or the bad areas of the genes, but it's kind of like doing surgery with a butcher knife. They can't get it precise enough, and they do more damage.
Because it's too small.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The DNA is too small. They don't have anything small enough to cut it.
Cut it, or I don't know, maybe even see what they're doing. But a Chinese group claims to have performed this procedure on a set of twins to correct a heart defect, and those twins were ultimately delivered alive. Now, whatever problems they're going to have, I have no idea. But at this point, they did receive widespread condemnation for it, but I'm sure that won't last.
Who received widespread condemnation?
The Chinese group that did this.
As if they care.
Oh, you mean the Chinese?
Yeah.
Well, no.
I got you. Yeah.
A World Economic Forum panel suggested that genetically sequencing babies at birth should become the norm, claiming that it had the potential to shift the healthcare system from reactive to preventative. And some of the panel even called for this to eventually become mandatory.
Oh my!
They're playing God
Yeah,
already.
absolutely.
Yep.
100%.
They're playing God.
Okay, so there's also something called predictive health tech. Google recently teamed up with the Pentagon, and they are planning to develop an AI model for automating and predicting COVID diagnosis. So
Wonderful.
it's the first it was for cancer, but now they're trying to work it so it predicts COVID. So it's sort of a Minority Report, if you remember that movie.
Yes, I loved it.
Where the guy,
Tom Cruise.
yes, he was the policeman. He'd go arrest people before they actually committed the crime. That's what it reminded me of. But anyway, so the next one is the one that really just blew me away. Bugs with backpacks. So let's take a look at this. This is a live dragonfly equipped with a backpack containing navigation systems. This backpack is tapped directly into this dragonfly's nervous system, and that allows the scientists to steer the dragonfly. The whole thing is powered by, yes, you probably can see on there exactly what it looks like, miniature solar panels.
Oh my gosh!
I don't understand. Oh, you mean the electrical part?
Yes, where they get to steer and I'm thinking there must be a camera because the reason they're working with dragonflies is because, well, it's for surveillance ultimately. He's a little surveillance drone.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got this working.
Wait, it's working?
It's working, as far as I could tell from these articles. Yes. I don't know how well it works, and I don't know how long a dragonfly lives and how much that little backpack cost, but it's working. They also have locusts. Apparently locusts are great at smelling things. Much better than a dog. Even when certain scent might might be masked by many others. And it only takes a few hundred milliseconds for the locust brain to begin tracking a novel odor introduced into its surroundings. So they want to use the locust to locate bombs. So they have done surgery on locusts to implant electrodes into their brain. It says within a few hours they can recover and they can walk and behave as if nothing happened. Yes, bugs with backpacks.
Where do people come up with
Wait a minute.
stuff?
Say that again. So if you tap into his brain, he could find out where a bomb is. And then you said afterwards he acts like nothing happened.
After they implant, what it said was that after they do surgery on the locust to implant the electrodes, within a few hours it recovers, and he's basically back to normal.
It's a perfect little. Got it.
Yeah, the perfect little.
That's amazing.
Which is really, truly amazing. Bugs with backpacks. Okay, so moving on to wearables. Gadget match. So Facebook is working on a wearable that can read your mind. So here's a quote. Imagine wearing a band and just immersing yourself in a video game. There's no controller because the band can read your mind and take direct action within the simulation automatically. The neural wristbands can theoretically track the nerve signals your brain sends to your fingers while you're typing. So you could type on a virtual keyboard with no keys, and the bands will learn and adapt to the way you type to correct typos.
What?
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's like, I don't know. I was just so shocked when I was reading all this that they were able to do this. They're working on it anyway. They think they can do it. It's not quite done yet. According to an article I read in Bloomberg, emotional analysis, that's the next thing, is also attracting big investment, with machines now being trained to study human personality traits. Compassion levels, I wouldn't want to be graded on that, and facial expressions, especially in today's day and age. So enter the Amazon Halo fitness tracker. The Halo measures wearers' moods. So there are 2 microphones built into the wristband. They listen to your speech tones throughout the day, and according to Amazon, are capable of inferring whether you sound happy, sad, excited, or tired. Recognizing the potential creep factor, Amazon is emphasizing that the feature is opt-in and voice samples are not being sent to the cloud.
Sure, we believe you, Amazon.
So we do have a little video on this.
Boy.
Some guy did a review.
It's using a microphone that is on the Halo itself to listen to me as I talk, and then it will analyze my voice to determine how I'm sounding. It gives you a good idea of how you are sounding to others. Maybe you don't realize it and you're being really whiny, and this band is going to be able to tell you that. So it'll break your voice down between different groupings, I guess. So happy, energetic or excited, neutral, unhappy, anything like that. It'll also highlight notable moments. So conversations you had that were particularly heated, particularly happy, anything like that. It'll tell you how long they were and what happened. So apparently this morning at 9:20 a.m., I was very skeptical for about 1.2 seconds. I had one phrase that sounded skeptical and confused. Possibly why somebody wants to wear the Halo band. I also had one this morning that was dismissive at 8:20 a.m. for 1.3 seconds. I had one phrase that sounded dismissive, uncomfortable, or stubborn. Yeah. So it gives you a good idea about that, and it breaks it down for you. So you can wait, what was I doing at that specific time? Why was I sounding like that? And if you look at your day and you've got a whole lot of little frowny faces and a whole lot of not happy faces, maybe that's a good indicator that you need to work on how you're presenting yourself to others. Now
I don't know about that. They can really read my mind, or
well, this one
dismissive?
listens to your tone of voice,
Your speech tones.
But the idea is to monitor your emotions, which is really pretty frightening. As far as I'm
sarcastic
concerned.
people will mess up all of that. Right.
Oh, I'm sure they've got a sarcastic, probably I would think, where they'd read it as sarcastic. But I'm reading just an absolutely horrifying book now about a woman. She was North Korean, and she was unjustly accused, ended up thrown in prison, tortured, ended up in a work camp. And one of the things is basically that they force on the prisoners is they aren't really allowed to express anything at all.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, is this where humanity goes, let alone something negative towards their situation, but even if it's like any overt emotion or compassion for other people it's like they try to squash out every ounce of personality, individuality, everything. And it just, this is not that, but this, if they're going to start tracking people's emotions.
And how many frowny faces you
Right.
create in a day.
But see, one thing you're missing, Abby.
I haven't thought this through at all, Pastor James.
Yeah,
just
but
a little
here's
bit,
one of the
but-
things you're missing. Whatever they come up with, that wonderful little band, that's not for them.
Oh, of course.
That's for the peons.
That's right.
Because you see, we have to take a shot, but Congress doesn't, because they exempted themselves from.
That's exactly right.
So see, mask. You got to wear a mask, but Lori Lightfoot can go to the big basketball game in the arena and be the only one in there that doesn't have a mask taking pictures.
That's right.
See,
because there are betters.
Yeah,
they know
they're
how
the-
to rule.
They're the oligarch, right?
Yes.
So that's going to be for the peons, for
That's right.
population control. But the rulers don't have to worry about that.
Of course not.
No. This is some Antichrist stuff here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is control beyond control. Stalin is salivating in his grave.
Oh, for him to have this kind of
Mao
control,
is
surveillance
jealous
over people?
from the grave. Right? What can be done now in the name of technology and advancement of man is amazing. The control the totalitarian monsters will have now.
Right.
And they're messing with and altering God's creation.
Which is their goal. That
Which
is
is
what
his
they're
goal.
trying to do.
Which is his
well,
goal.
yes. And there too. I mean, he's recruited a lot of help.
He's recruited and he's
adversary has
convinced
recruited a
them.
lot of help.
But the adversary has had the same goal from the garden.
That's right. Destroy humanity.
To destroy humanity. To destroy humanity.
Yeah. So I saved the worst for last, I think.
Is it the worst for last?
I think so.
No, you've got no.
Yeah.
Which one is
It
this?
is. This is
clip 3?
So we're going to talk about Welcome Leap, something called Welcome
This is
Leap.
clip 3, right? It's on a clip.
Not yet.
Okay.
So Welcome Leap is a research agency which focuses on bioengineering and transhumanist tech. Its stated goal is breakthrough scientific and technological solutions by or before 2030. For some reason, the year 2030 keeps coming up again and again and again as a goal for these people. It was started with a $300 million donation of initial funding from its parent organization, which is the Wellcome Trust. Now, I've never heard of any of this until a few days ago. But the Wellcome Trust apparently might be second only to Bill Gates in its ability to influence the events during the COVID-19 crisis and vaccine campaign. So apparently it's pulling an awful lot of strings behind the scenes. It is run by Welcome Leap is run by former DARPA executives. I had to look that one up. DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Beware the military-industrial complex was the first thing that I thought of when I read that.
Famous words spoken by the outgoing President Eisenhower.
Right. So it's got several initiatives, but I think by far the worst one is called the First 1,000 Days, Promoting Healthy Brain Networks. It's abbreviated IKD. So IKD, which is First 1,000 Days, is framed as a way to monitor children's brain functioning in order to improve cognitive outcomes.
All right, so the second program they announced, I would argue, is, at least to me anyway, was the most disturbing. It's called the First 1,000 Days, Promoting Healthy Brain Networks. It's specifically targeted at children from 3 months of age, literal babies, to 3-year-old toddlers, who it seeks to have as its test subjects, essentially. And so this one really has 3 different components, and is frankly just mind-boggling. So I would honestly, if this sounds unbelievable to you, I would encourage you to go to either Welcome Leap's website or my article and read the official document describing what this program is, which they abbreviate as 1KD, a much shorter version. Basically, what they want to do initially is surveil through various means, including wearables, eye tracking technology, 24/7 surveillance of the youngest children in order to risk stratify them, predict their responses to interventions in their developing brains for various reasons. But the first goal is to basically use this access to children's brains to map them on a massive scale, as many kids as possible, in order to develop what they call the second goal, an in silico model of a human developing brain, essentially, something as close as they could really get to the singularity, basically, machine intelligence that rivals and surpasses human intelligence, which has not happened up to this point, but it has been an open goal of futurists and transhumanists. People like Ray Kurzweil, Google's former futurist, have been very open about the desire for the singularity, and how a lot of these people think that this AI-powered control grid cannot actually be established until a singularity is developed and present. So they essentially are looking to create a prototype, an artificial neural network that would essentially be a model for that by mapping and surveilling really the brains of babies and toddlers in order to presumably from there have something that develops a brain, artificial brain model that develops from there like a normal human would over time. But that's not where the program ends. Beyond that, what they want to do then is, once they have this model of the perfect, I guess you could say, developing brain, they want to then go to, within 10 years, 80% of children, and use that model to assess children's brains to see if they fit this model or not, and if they do not fit it, to intervene in their developing brains so they fit this AI model of the correct brain, which in the hands of these people is just totally nuts. And honestly, talking about this, even as I was writing it, it's really hard to find words to describe what this is. But really, if allowed to advance specifically to that third stage, could easily eliminate human creativity, the capacity for imagination at a critical time in a human being's development. And when we get to the last program, it becomes pretty clear that Welcome Leap has an agenda like that for adults as well. But the fact that they are targeting children specifically and plan to target them in a massive way within 10 years is just stunning. And I think shows that these people really think they cannot be stopped. And it's really, I would argue up to concerned parents and concerned citizens to protect the most vulnerable from this type of invasive technology.
Okay. Who are these people again? Leap?
Welcome Leap. They are
Welcome Leap.
a research agency. They were created by the Wellcome Trust. The people involved are connected all the way up to Bilderberg. but they're really, the biggest, most public promoters of them are, and this kind of thing is the World Economic Forum and everybody involved in that. So, you want to talk about, sinister.
It's eugenics.
Yes, it is. That's exactly right. It's the newest version of eugenics.
It's just mind-boggling.
I know. They want to alter the brain function of babies. Now, first to correct it, quote unquote, but ultimately to improve it. So if we look at this quote from them, this comes from the Welcome Leap website, says they want to, quote, create scalable methods for optimizing, promotion, prevention, screening, and therapeutic interventions to improve executive function by at least 20% in 80% of children before age 3. So in other words, they're not treating disease, they're not addressing a global public health challenge, but they are instead planning to experiment on the cognitive augmentation of children using AI algorithms and invasive surveillance-based technology.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh my gosh.
These people need mental help.
No, they're not out of their minds. They're evil.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They're inciting God to pour out his wrath on this evil. As we were reading in Bible study earlier today, God says they provoked me to wrath because of their evil. What we're doing now, and again, this is worldwide, this makes perfect sense that God's going to pour out his wrath on the world, on the entire earth.
Right.
And they're doing it. They're provoking the wrath of God to come and to stop this.
Because they're trying to play God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't love God. They don't worship God.
No.
They have a void in their life, and they are trying to fill it.
And they don't fear him.
They don't fear him.
They're toying with life.
At the most basic level, editing genes, messing with babies' brains.
Yeah.
In order to suit some, you might have missed it here, but part of what they're after, and she did mention it, is called singularity. I don't know if she used that word.
She did. She did.
Okay. Well, what singularity is what these tech people think is going to happen eventually, that artificial intelligence is going to become conscious.
What?
Yes.
That's not true.
That's what they believe.
That's what they believe. They believe that the Terminator is real. That's what happened to Terminator.
Yeah. And what the
creating life.
Yeah,
I mean, to
exactly.
do conscious, you're trying to create life, and so what the enemy is doing is telling God, "I can do better than the Garden of Eden." And now you have humans playing along with the demons, the chief demon, in which they're going to try to outdo the Garden of Eden, and it's not going to work.
Well, the other really interesting thing about that too is, and she said that this singularity is what they want it to do ultimately. They want it to come into existence so that it will power the control grid of this whole thing. In other words, it's even worse than that, James. They're trying to create God.
Singularity.
Yes. They're trying to create a God.
Singularity over a vast
humanity.
Of humanity. Sort of omniconscious, omnipresent. Right? Like a hive.
Yeah, I think
but
ultimately because all this, this requires what they want to do to these babies is 24-hour surveillance of every aspect of their
destroy
being.
Individuality.
Well, right, because then if you're correcting to this, the AI is going to correct the babies to this model, right? This model that they've deemed I guess, the ideal human being.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Who gets to decide?
Well, they do.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
I
they
keep
do.
asking myself. Who do they think they are?
God. And how do you create a hive all over the world? You've got to force people to put some sort of chip in them.
No. There'll be other things in them, but no, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, something will
In the
be
forehead
in people.
or the arm.
Oh, okay.
That's why you do it, on the forehead or the hand. Yeah. Yeah, this is dangerous. This is dangerous.
And these people have a lot of money, and they have a lot of power.
And way too much time on their hands.
I guess. I mean, and this is also just another battle in the war on children that just rolls on and on and on. I mean, even today, the Biden administration announced that it's purchasing 28 million doses of that clot shot to give to kids 5 to 12. It hasn't been approved yet by the FDA or the CDC, but do we really believe that they aren't going to approve it?
The FDA, the head of the FDA, will approve a medication when the doctors vote against it 16-2, or whatever the vote was, remember? And she later came on the day after and approved it. 16-2 not to approve it. She approved it.
Right.
So it doesn't. It's all political. It has nothing to do with the health. This is dangerous. This is where we are. And I've said before, again, looking at it from Christian eyes, I think this is the deluding spirit spoken of in Thessalonians. People are suspending all types of common sense. Common sense is dead. And people are going to some extraordinary, stupid steps to achieve something through medical means that are just evil. It's just evil.
Kim Starling says there is a religion for AI now, and they believe their God will come from AI and speak to all the world through our Bluetooth devices.
Yeah, they're Democrats. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Republicans ain't far behind.
And these aren't Americans. These aren't just Americans. I mean, these are people from all over the world.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
We got one more video.
Wait, did we do the 1DK notes?
Oh, that's okay because I think we covered it.
Okay.
We have one more video of James Corbett talking about something I never gave any thought to. I probably should have put this earlier, but it's worth thinking about, and it doesn't just have to do with our voices. So.
And I remember in 2000, I think it was 11, 12, somewhere like that, where they first started doing this. So we're going to auto-transcribe the videos. And I remember turning that on just to see what it looked like. And it was gobbledygook. It was nonsense. It was stupid. It was almost like a game. Turn it on and see what the automatic captions were. And it was always just total garbage nonsense. And then I remember a year or two later, I checked again. And, oh, it's perfect now. Oh, it's getting every word. And now it's at the point where literally sometimes I have to turn on the captions to understand because I can't physically hear what someone is saying, and the captions have it. It's gotten really creepy. How did that happen? Because millions and millions and millions of people are uploading millions and millions of hours of video every single day so that these algorithms can get better and better and better at detecting human language. That's how it works. This was based on Google Voice, which was a handy little feature that they rolled out a decade and a half ago. People used, then they discarded it. Well, what was all that about? Oh, they were just harvesting your voice data so that they could work on their language recognition algorithms. This is how it works. Amazon Echo.
Then he goes on to talk about Amazon Echo. All righty.
Yeah.
I remember the first one. I remember struggling with, I was like, ooh, I can talk and not type. Give me that. I hated typing. And I remember the first one I bought, Dragonfly. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Dragonfly. That was terrible. I stopped it. Because I spent more time correcting Dragonfly. I just might as well type. I could type. I just didn't like typing.
Well, at this point, they've listened to so many voices and have so much data on that.
Oh, wow. They've come a long way since Dragonfly.
Yes. And so data mining, which I never really understood at all, and I still only just the barest. But that's what they want to do with the kids, is they're data mining their brain data, basically, to build this AI brain. To get better at surveilling us, too. I mean, you can't get away from that. Given the nature of humanity, if this is left unchecked, it will ultimately result in a total surveillance state.
That's where they're going.
And institutionalized eugenics.
They want to. That's what they want.
It's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Yep.
So,
that's where
on
we
that
are.
cheery note.
Wow.
Yeah, I was wow.
That's a lot to digest.
And that's where we headed. That is where we are headed. But you know what? Let me play this. We had some bonus videos here. This last one, Abby, I think shows people. It just shows people how far along they are with this mouse.
Oh, yeah, the rat. It's got a rat brain. They built a robot with a rat brain.
It shows how far down the road they really are. This is sort of a peek into, a glimpse into this stuff in use. I'm surprised, Abby, you didn't play this.
It was an oversight. I screwed up. It was supposed to be in there and I accidentally deleted it.
This to me is probably the most disturbing. This poor rat.
I get more disturbed about kids. This is...
Well, but you don't have a kid on the video. This thing has a rat on here.
Well.
All right, let's see.
All right, here we go. I'm sorry, there's another one just like it. You actually see the rat on top of the thing.
Yeah, but that one I thought was so interesting because it moves like a rat.
Yeah. It's neurons of a rat.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turning those wheels, learning.
That's where we are, and you're messing with God's creation. Let me play the other one because you actually see the rat on it.
Well, they put a rat on it.
Oh, they put a rat on it?
Yeah, it's like a rubber rat. No.
Oh, I thought that was a real rat.
Rubber rat.
Oh, never mind then. Yeah, but but I still don't understand that is pretty. I don't know. I don't want to say impressive because it's evil, but you're taking the neurons from a rat and
they're connecting. They connect to the electrodes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And so the brain is kept in they said a bell jar.
We're going to last for what, 3 months, he says?
Yeah, with the rats. Yeah, so they have to go through multiple rats. And did you notice they said they all behave differently?
Because each rat is different.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. God is coming back. The enemy is now trying to create quote unquote life. This is ultimate rebellion. The ultimate rebellion of man is playing God. When God says, "In him was life, and the life was the light of men," Christ says, "I have life in me." Well, Satan says, "Well, let me see if I can do that." And there seems like the enemy is trying to mimic God in creating life, and this is just evil.
Yeah, and this is just like I said. I only discovered this, so to speak, like 3 days ago. So I am sure there's so much more out there.
Yeah, that's what.
And in the link that I did put a bunch of links down there for anybody
Kim
who's
say that?
Interested.
Yeah, Kim said that DARPA they already have those drones. I believe they started researching the creation of those over 50 years ago. So DARPA, she's saying, is
what's the Defense Research?
Yeah.
Department. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people, how do we wrap this one up?
I don't know. That's why I brought it to you guys. Like, we'll see what the round table makes of all this.
I think the same thing as always is clear. The enemy is moving. He is on the march. He is evil. And unfortunately, he's recruited so many people to his army. It's a lot of them. So much wealth, so much technology. I think he is trying to outdo Genesis 1 and 2.
Or make a mockery of it.
Or trying to warp it and try to make a mockery of it. I think that's why Sodom and Gomorrah is in the scriptures, because he tried to mock God making male and female. And now he's trying to mock humanity itself. He's trying to warp it. And he's trying to create the counterfeit. He's been trying to create the counterfeit for many, many years. I think in Revelation he's gonna mock, or not try to mock, or try to imitate the resurrection. Right? When the beast has the mortal wound and sort of rise from the dead. Well, he's mocking and twisting Eden now. So,
I'm so glad God's got his hand on this situation.
Yeah. He's going to have his sword on the situation soon, too, I believe, when he comes back. So God is still in control. Abby.
Yeah, yes, that's it. That God is still in control, and that he may be wrapping this all up shortly, given what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
Vicki. Oh, Vicki had to step away.
Yeah.
So, all right, people. Thank you for listening again. We are all conspiracy theorists now.
I think we are. But the conspiracy is real, and it's not. It's in broad daylight, so I don't know if you can call it a conspiracy.
Yeah, there was a shirt that said, "Is it still considered a conspiracy if it's true?"
Yeah.
Well, again, in all of this, I think the enemy is moving, but God will have the last word as always. Thank you. God bless.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Have a good night. Be blessed.